This is Mac OS Ken.
Indonesia's finally getting iPhone 16. The APY on your Apple Card savings account has dropped. And Utah passes an App Store law. It is Thursday, the 27th of March, 2025. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Incogni. Take your personal data back and get 60% off an annual plan with code MacOSKen at incogni.com/MacOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Apple's 6-month national nightmare is coming to an end. Not this nation. Things hum along here as they have. No, I'm talking about Indonesia, where Apple will finally, officially, truly start selling the iPhone 16 line next month. Fingers crossed there will be no point ever recapping this story ever again, ever, so let me do it. Seriously, fingers crossed, one last time. Last fall, Indonesia barred the sale of iPhone 16 in the country. That was over a lack of investment, which Apple addressed and addressed again and addressed again, with offers to lift the ban from the Cupertino company, shifting from $10 million to $100 million to $1 billion, offers that Indonesia declined. 1 month ago today, a piece from TechCrunch indicated that Apple would be able to sell iPhone 16 in Indonesia after Apple and the country came to an agreement, after which we heard nothing. Until yesterday. That is when Apple issued a press release saying that sales of iPhone 16 will start in Indonesia beginning Friday, the 11th of April. That is the entire iPhone 16 line, including iPhone 16e, which wasn't even a thing when this whole thing started. I'm guessing Apple has no physical stores in Indonesia and no online stores either. The Cupertino company's press release put iPhone 16 availability on the 11th of April at certain Apple authorized resellers.
Are you an Apple authorized reseller?
I think so.
You're not certain?
Yes, I am a certain Apple authorized reseller. This has been another edition of the Mac OS Ken Radio Theater of the Mind. Apple has lowered the interest rate for Apple Card savings accounts. Why did they do that? In the words of Fatboy Slim and Jim Broadbent, because they can. 9 to 5 Mac ran a piece Tuesday night saying Apple had once again lowered the interest rate of its Apple Card savings account. It now earns just 3.75% APY, down from the 3.9% that it offered prior. Prior to prior, it offered more than that. This time last year, the Apple Card savings account offered an APY of 4.5%. April of 2024 is when it started its slow march down, though, making stops at 4.4% in April, 4.25% in September, 4.1% in October, and the aforementioned 3.9% in December. The question of why is kind of a funny one, mostly because of Apple's answer. An email I received announcing the adjusted rate included the seemingly rhetorical question, why did the APY on savings change? Followed by the answer, the APY on savings is variable and we may change rates at any time.
Because we can.
Rates are influenced by many factors, including the Federal Reserve funds rate. When this rate is lowered, it affects all U.S. financial institutions, and we evaluate potential adjustments to our rates. See, if they had stopped with the influence by many factors, it would have been fine. Going on about the Fed makes it an odd answer, though, since, as an NBC News piece pointed out a few days ago, the Fed left rates unchanged, while warning of growing uncertainty as more Trump tariffs loom. With no change in the Federal Reserve funds rate, one assumes growing uncertainty as more Trump tariffs loom prompted the most valuable company on the planet to make your savings worth less to them. But sure, blame the Fed. It's not an easy thing to check. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Incogni, helping you take back your personal data. Think back to the early days of the internet. And never mind, think back 10 years maybe. It was around then that I started to think, maybe I shouldn't offer as much personal information online as I do. Even being careful since, though, information about you that's out there doesn't just go away by itself. For me, Incogni is working to get that info back. They found stuff on me going back decades. It's info that gets sold to advertisers and insurance companies and other data brokers, many of which can be used by them to get the upper hand in business dealings at best, or end up being stolen by bad guys at worst. Since I started with Incogni, they've gotten over 260 data brokers to remove my data, while nearly 60 have said that they will never collect data on me again. Even if they do, though, Incogni will be ready with another data removal request. It's what they do, and they can do it for you. Make an account, answer a few questions, and let them start taking your data back. I'm a fan of Incogni's service. Take control of your data privacy today with Incogni. Get 60% off an annual plan with code MacOSKen at incogni.com/MacOSKen. That's a great savings, and it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. INCOGNI. Get 60% off an annual plan with code MacOSKen at incogni.com/MacOSKen. If you use the Waze implementation of Google Assistant on iPhone, I'm curious why. Kind of sounds like it's been a dumpster fire, and one which Waze has decided to let burn itself out. A piece from Engadget says the navigation app Waze is dropping Google Assistant support for iPhones, citing ongoing difficulties with integrating the service. The company says it plans on replacing it with an enhanced voice integration solution at some point in the future. Because it is, as my grandmother used to say, if you can't beat 'em, drink. Doesn't sound like the news is totally unexpected. Engadget says it comes after a full year of iPhone users reporting issues with the integration, with many would-be users noting that voice commands to Google Assistant were totally broken. Waze says the feature has not been working as intended for over a year, according to the report, and that it would rather phase out Google Assistant on iOS instead of patching a feature that has faced ongoing difficulties. Yeah, fixing stuff is for chumps. And finally today, Utah has passed a law with ramifications for both Google and Apple. Apple Insider says the Beehive state has passed and the governor has signed the App Store Accountability Act. The report says that'll require companies like Apple and Google to verify the ages of new App Store users in the state. This is the kind of thing that Apple was trying to get ahead of near the end of February when it highlighted upcoming age assurance features. Those features include questions about age when setting up an account, simplifying the parental consent process for kids to use the App Store and other device features, adding the ability to correct age ranges for existing child accounts if the current age is wrong, stricter developer disclosure requirements regarding whether their apps include user-generated content or advertising, require age verification and/or offer parental controls, and a tweaking of the App Store age ranges. One assumes that all of that will be enough to satisfy the legislation. Utah's App Store Accountability Act goes into effect on Wednesday, the 7th of May, according to the report. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and sponsored by Incogni. Get 60% off an annual plan with code macOSKen at incogni.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.